Okay, so today I have one of my favorite videos to film for you. I don't film these videos super frequently these days because, to be honest, I do feel like it's hard to find exact drugstore dupes. The word dupe is thrown around so loosely, and a lot of brands, a lot of drugstore brands are trying to, pass off their products as alternatives or dupes just based on the packaging alone or the marketing or the name. But when it comes down to a true drugstore dupe, it has to match up in all categories: application, texture, color, longevity. So I actually do have a couple of really good dupes to share with you in today's video, and then also some alternatives that come incredibly close. The truth is, in order for a product to make this type of video, I feel like the drugstore dupe has to perform just as great, if not better than the higher end alternative. So I'm excited to talk about these products, some really amazing options. I actually did film a video like this back in November, so I was kind of surprised I had a list long enough to film another one so soon. So if you want to check out another version of this video, I'll link it below because there are some great products in that video too. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the products. I'll share all of like the nitty-gritty details so you can decide whether or not the affordable alternative or the dupe is actually worth trying. So I am a big fan of the Summer Fridays lip butter balms. I know these get a lot of hype on social media, and don't get me wrong, there are a ton of affordable lip balms out there, but there's just something about this formula and the entire experience of applying it on the lips that just feels so nice. I've said this before, and honestly, it sounds dramatic every single time I say it, but because it's a lip balm and it's something that you're reapplying multiple times throughout the day, it just kind of infuses a little bit of joy into my day because it's just such a nice experience. I love the packaging, I love the applicator, that's a big one for me, and then the scents are amazing, the color is beautiful, and the actual texture of the product just feels so nice. I have purchased quite a few over the last few years, ever since I tried them for the first time, and I haven't really found a product that I would consider to be a true dupe until now. So ColourPop came out this product, I think back in December, and the first time I tried it, I was like, that is a spot on dupe. This is actually one of the best dupes I've tried in years. They've nailed everything when it comes to this product, from like the soft touch matte packaging to the really comfortable cushiony applicator to the beautiful, just like smooth texture of the balm. Even the way these look and smell, they're so close to Summer Fridays. I've actually been wearing them like side by side, one right after the other for the past few weeks, and there is no difference. If you even look at the ingredients, there are so many similar ingredients between the two. I really think this is one of the best dupes I've ever tried. ColourPop's lip balms are 10 versus Summer Fridays, which are 24, and they actually come with almost the exact same amount of product. Summer Fridays has 0.5 ounces and ColourPop has 0.49. So again, there are some identical dupes. If you like vanilla from Summer Fridays, vanilla cake smells the exact same. They also have a chocolate one. So Summer Fridays has hot chocolate, which came out during the holiday season, and ColourPop has chocolate milkshake. There's a cherry one that's very close. I couldn't find my Summer Fridays cherry one. I had it in my car and it's not there, so I must have misplaced it. But if you're looking for identical shade dupes or identical scent dupes, you can definitely find it. But ColourPop also has like a really great mango one. Strawberry milk is amazing. So I highly recommend checking out the ColourPop ones. Even if you don't necessarily want a Summer Fridays dupe, the ColourPop ones alone are just really good everyday lip balms. Super comfortable, incredibly nourishing. They smell good, they feel good. I cannot get enough of them. While we're on the topic of ColourPop, let's talk about this next product. So a few months ago, ColourPop did liquid blushes, which are very similar to Rare Beauty's liquid blushes. I don't think those are an identical dupe. I do think they're a great alternative. The formulas are a little bit different. I think ColourPop's can be sheared out to look a little bit more natural compared to Rare Beauty's, which look pretty bold most of the time. Again, you can shear those out as well, but they're just slightly different. So when ColourPop launched a liquid highlighter, I was kind of curious how it stacked up against Rare Beauty's liquid highlighter. I only have one of these, but I love this product. It's their liquid luminizer in the shade Enchant. This retails for $27, and honestly, for the amount of product you get in here, and especially because you really just don't need a lot to apply it to the skin, or if you're mixing it in with a liquid blush, it's not necessarily a bad deal. They also have many options as well. They do come in 8 different shades, so that is one big advantage Rare Beauty has, but ColourPop did launch a formula that is identical. Like if you swatch this product, if you wear this product, it looks and feels identical to the Rare Beauty liquid highlighter. So these are the ColourPop Dewy Liquid Highlighters. They only have 3 shades for now. So again, that is a disadvantage. There aren't going to be as many options, but I know Rare Beauty does have some that come very close to these gold shades. Also, ColourPop does come with less product. You get 0.38 fluid ounces, and then in the Rare Beauty one, you do get 0.5 fluid ounces. But this is the type of product that I personally personally won't ever use up fully. So I'd rather get less product for a less or a lower price point than spend the money on a high-end option. Don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful formula. It's very smooth, incredibly lightweight. It almost has a little bit of an oily feel to it, which I thought was super unique. So it was kind of interesting to see ColourPop nail it so well. I'm not always the biggest fan of a liquid highlighter because it can lift my foundation or it can look a little bit too intense. This can look very soft, very beautiful, or you can build it up. But I also love mixing this with a liquid blush just to add like the most beautiful glow. And I think that's the perfect reason or the perfect way to use these as well. They both apply the same to the skin. They both wear the same on the skin. So you're not going to see extreme fading with the ColourPop one compared to Rare Beauty. I really do think this is a spot on dupe. I just don't have an exact color match, but I know ColourPop does have some similar shades to other Rare Beauty liquid highlighters, especially the gold tones. If you really want a liquid golden highlighter, these might be worth checking out and grabbing. Okay, so for the last few years, it feels like every single brand has been trying to dupe or do their own version of the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light wands. I do have a couple of these. I've tried the matte versions, I've tried the glowy versions, and I like the glowy ones a lot. I think they're very, very beautiful. There are a ton of alternatives out there at this point, but I feel like the main issue with a lot of the drugstore alternatives is that they almost look a little bit too metallic on the skin. They don't give you the same glow the Charlotte Tilbury product does. And I do think Charlotte Tilbury is a brand that can tend to be a little bit overrated, but typically this specific product does look really pretty on the skin, but it's expensive. I have a mini version of this, but I think the full-size version, I want to say retails for like $42. And honestly, that's just a lot of money to spend on either a liquid highlighter or a liquid blush when there are alternatives out there. So I actually tried this product for the first time. I think it came out a few months ago. I was a little bit late to the game, but as soon as I applied it to my skin, I was like, that looks and feels so similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light ones, and it really is the closest alternative I've found. I wouldn't call it like an exact dupe, but I would say it's like 90% similar. So this is the Milani Cheek Kiss Liquid Blush and Glow, specifically the shade Cafe. And I think on the cheeks, this one looks the same. I'll actually do a side-by-side comparison for you. Charlotte Tilbury one has a little bit more pigment. Like you can build this one up to look more intense on the cheeks. And there are quite a few different shades, so I wouldn't say that's the case across the board. It might depend on which color you get. The one that I have, I think is probably the most popular shade, Pinkgasm. And I do think if you sheer them both out, they look so similar on the cheeks, you really won't notice a difference. So if you wanted to try the shade Pinkgasm specifically, you might want to try this alternative. Now, the Charlotte Tilbury product is $42, but it does come with slightly more product. The Milani product retails for $12.99, and the Milani one comes with 0.33 ounces versus 0.41, which is how much you get in the full-size Charlotte Tilbury wand. I just have a mini. So again, if you are purchasing the full-size one, it is going to be bigger than this. But even if you break that down and take into consideration how much you get for the price, you could still probably buy 2 of the Milani products or maybe even more than that for the same price as a Charlotte Tilbury product. So highly recommend checking these out. I think they have a beautiful range of shades. They really nail down like the perfect glowy blush product. It's like a blush highlighter all in one, and it's not overly metallic or too glittery. It's like that perfect glowy look on the skin without being over the top. Like it really does give you that glowing from within look. I really do think they did an amazing job on this formula. I like their liquid highlighters. I like their liquid contours, but there's something about this that I feel like is a step up, and I highly recommend checking them out if you love a glowy cheek product. Okay, let's talk about what's on my eyes today. I did not expect this eyeshadow palette to come so close to the higher end alternative. So I did a video just a few weeks ago on new e.l.f. product launches. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description box below. I told you I picked up this eyeshadow palette because some people were saying it was a dupe for Makeup by Mario's Ethereal Eyes palette, which was limited edition. It's no longer available. I do own it. I actually missed out on it when they originally launched it, and then they brought it back. I decided to buy it because it had so much hype surrounding it. And I've done a couple of videos talking about this. I never regretted buying it, but I don't think it quite lived up to the hype in my mind. It was a pretty pricey palette. It was $68. And I know there are people who love Makeup by Mario's eyeshadow formula, and I do like his formula, but it's just not my top favorite. I think the shimmers in here are definitely the standout shades, and the mattes are okay, but there are some shades in here that give you like that wet looking effect on the eyes, and that's what I love about this so much. And also the color story. It's just kind of like a good go-to neutral palette. Anyway, because it was limited edition. You can't even get your hands on it anymore. So when I heard that e.l.f. came out with a palette that was supposed to be a dupe or a good alternative, I decided to try it out, and I'm actually shocked how close this palette comes to the Makeup by Mario palette. So when I did my video, I did like a quick, easy, very light, natural eyeshadow look. I'll include some clips so you can see what it looks like side by side. And it ended up coming together and just looking basically identical on the eyes. So for today's look, I wanted to do something a little bit more dramatic, and I have used it side by side a couple of other times, but I haven't really done more of like a cooler tone smoky eye, and I was actually shocked how close I got. Like, if you're just looking at me in person, maybe if you're staring at my eyes the entire video, you might see some slight differences, but I really don't see a big difference at all on the eyes. It looks basically identical. And that really kind of shocked me because, again, what I thought was so unique about this palette was the fact that it had those kind of wet looking shimmer shadows. And those are really, really beautiful. But even though these metallics feel different when you touch them, when you apply them, they give an almost identical look on the eyes. I do think this is a really great alternative, especially because the Makeup by Mario palette isn't even around anymore. This is a $10 palette. It is significantly less expensive. The quality is great. I'm a big fan of e.l.f.'s eyeshadows in general. I love the bite-sized palettes. I love the other 10-pan palettes, but there's almost something about this. I think this is like a slightly higher quality formula. Specifically the metallics in here. They look very glittery, very eye-catching, super, super pretty. So highly recommend this if you love the color story and you've been wanting to purchase a new palette. Do you need it? Probably not. If you have other neutral palettes in your collection, you can end up with something pretty close to both of these, but it is worth checking out if like this color story has had a hold on you, you're still sad you missed out on this, or you just want a high quality, a high quality, affordable, I was going to say inexpensive and affordable palette. Definitely recommend this. Okay, so obviously e.l.f. is known for their dupes, but I don't know that they do a ton of skincare dupes. Their skincare products are so good. I've been a fan of e.l.f. skincare line for years, specifically the Holy Hydration line, and we all know that skincare is on the rise. Even really young preteens are into skincare these days, and it's weird because I know a lot of them are kind of drawn to Sephora. They want Drunk Elephant, they want Glow Recipe, but if you have a younger person in your life, maybe it's not even a preteen, maybe it's someone a little bit older, maybe it's you, maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and you're trying to nail down like a good skincare routine, there is no reason that you have to spend a ton of money on high-end skincare. There are a lot of great formulas, a lot of brands that use high quality ingredients at the drugstore. No shade if you want to shop at Sephora. I like some high-end skincare too. But I'm just saying, don't overlook the more affordable brands. I have a lot of those products that I incorporate into my skincare routine regularly, and I've always loved e.l.f.'s Holy Hydration line. I think I've tried pretty much every product from that line, and they just came out with the Thirst Burst Drops. So originally, I wasn't even thinking that these would be a dupe for anything. I just thought they sounded really nice. They are dewy and brightening drops. It's basically a lightweight, super hydrating serum. When I got this in the mail and I was reading a little bit more about it, I was like, oh, you know what? I wonder if that's supposed to be a dupe for the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dew Drops. And this product is very, very similar. Because it is a skincare product, I'm not going to call it an identical dupe because I think ingredients come into play more so when it comes to skincare than makeup if you're really comparing two products to each other. They do have some similar ingredients. Both products use or mention hyaluronic acid and niacinamide as key ingredients. Glow Recipe mentions watermelon as well, which is meant to hydrate and brighten the skin, and then e.l.f. uses what they call a hydrating hibiscus complex. But as you're actually applying this product to the skin and working it in, it feels identical. The textures are the same, the finishes are the same, and because they're both meant to hydrate and brighten up the skin and they have key ingredients that do that, I do think that the Thirst Burst Drops are worth checking out. You can use both of these products in a couple of different ways. As an actual primer, you can also mix them in with your foundation, with your bronzer drops, or you can also use them just kind of as part of your skincare routine. I will say the Glow Recipe formula has a watermelon scent, which is kind of nice if you like scented products, but if you are not a fan of scented skincare, the e.l.f. formula doesn't actually have a scent. So that that might actually be a selling point for you in addition to the fact that this is less expensive. I will say the Glow Recipe product comes with a little bit more. You get 1.35 fluid ounces for $35, and then e.l.f. is $12 and it comes with 1 fluid ounce. Anyway, like I said, I do think drugstore skincare as a whole is pretty underrated, but also e.l.f. skincare. They're really well known for their makeup, but I highly recommend the Holy Hydration line. Whether you have dry skin or oily skin, their cleansing balm is great. Their daily moisturizer is great. Again, I think I've tried pretty much everything from the line. So if you have any questions about like pros or cons or textures, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely get back to you. Let's talk about a few complexion products. So one of my favorite products of 2024 was the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Primer and foundation. I like that as well. And I'll use this product with the foundation or I'll use it separately. I just love the way it feels on the skin. It feels like a typical silicone primer, but it performs a lot differently. And the issue with a lot of silicone primers for me is they end up feeling a little bit too slippery and my makeup will not dry down. It won't settle in the way that I wanted to. It will start to move around faster and it will highlight fine lines and texture and just end up looking really uneven. So when I first tried this, I was like, ooh, I hope it's not too slippery. And it really isn't. It actually dries down and it leaves your skin feeling incredibly smooth. It fills in large pores and foundation just glides on in the most beautiful way, whether you're using the Easy Blur foundation or really any other brand. So I have been using this nonstop since I tried it back in the fall. And another primer that I really love is this one from Milani. At first, I didn't really put it together that they feel very similar. I was just kind of using them separately and loving them both. But I think the formulas are actually pretty close, even though they're packaged differently and they feel different. They feel differently as you initially apply them. Anyway, this is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer. I've been talking about this a lot on my channel as well. It is a gorgeous formula. I've actually used up quite a bit of this, and I feel like I'll actually end up finishing it up fully before I know it because I love the way this feels on the skin. I'll apply them side by side so you can see what they look like. I would say the Huda Beauty one maybe controls oils slightly more, and Milani is maybe slightly more moisturizing, but really not enough to notice a big difference. What I notice when I wear both of the primers is how well they smooth my skin out, how well they blur pores, and how well foundation actually applies on top of both primers. Both brands highlight glycerin as a key ingredient to moisturize the skin, and then Milani includes hyaluronic acid and niacinamide, while Huda Beauty mentions milk thistle extract to soothe oily skin. So I do think that the Huda Beauty primer is more so geared toward people who have oily skin, whereas Milani is kind of targeting people who want more of a moisturizing feel, but they both do a great job at smoothing and blurring if that is what you're looking for. It's weird because the formulas really, they're just different. Like in my mind, they're different, but you end up with a very, very similar result in the end. I didn't realize this at first, but they're both actually made in Korea. Milani has been releasing a lot of high quality products, including this one. It is the Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. This shocked me. I did not expect to like this product as much as I do. It has been my go-to foundation. I've pretty much been wearing it every single day because it is so lightweight. It blends out in 2 seconds. It looks really natural on the skin and it just looks really pretty as you go throughout your day. When I tested this out in like a testing new drugstore makeup video, a lot of you asked me how it compared to the Fenty Skin Tint Stick. This is actually called the Blur and Smooth Tint Stick. I bought this a long time ago and at the time it was way too light for me, so I only wore it like once or twice and then I kind of set it aside and forgot about it. And when you guys were asking me for comparisons, I pulled it back out and started wearing it again. The shade 2 is still maybe slightly too light, but I feel like I can make it work in the end after I apply bronzer and kind of set everything into place. So I'll actually wear these side by side and show you what they look like. So the Fenty stick retails for $36 and the Milani one is $16.99, which is not super inexpensive. That's pretty high for a drugstore product, and Fenty does come with pretty much the same exact amount. So it's not like you're getting a lot more in one brand over the other. Fenty has 0.32 ounces and Milani has 0.28. I realize that sounds like a very small amount of foundation compared to like the typical 1 fluid ounce you get in a liquid product, but that's actually pretty much on par with other brands that do foundation sticks or skin tint sticks. So both brands do offer 25 different shades. And again, ideally I'd probably go up a shade or two in Fenty, but I swear these apply and look and wear incredibly similarly on the skin. I would say when I first swipe on the Fenty foundation, it's a little bit creamier, like it almost melts onto the skin instantly instantly just from the actual packaging. And the Milani one maybe doesn't feel quite as creamy, but once you blend it out, you really don't notice the difference. They set down in a very, very similar way. I think Milani kind of markets their product as more of a matte finish than Fenty, but I find that, once I have them blended onto my skin, especially if I'm using like the exact same primer, I really don't notice a big difference in the actual finish. And then if I go in with concealer and powder, again, they look identical and they wear really similarly throughout the day. I would say in the end, the Milani one maybe stays in place a little bit better on me, but that's because my skin is oily. If your skin is more so on the dry side, you might prefer the way the Fenty one lasts on your skin. A good alternative if you don't have the budget to spend $36 on a foundation right now. The only thing is, like I said, it's still expensive for a drugstore foundation, but typically you can get these products on sale if you just wait at Ulta. I don't know if these are available anywhere else yet. I'll link them in the description box below if you want to check them out, but highly recommend this if you're looking for a less expensive alternative. I do have another eyeshadow alternative to share with you in today's video. When I first tried this formula, or I first ordered this formula, I was kind of wondering if it was going to be a good alternative to the Urban Decay Moon Dust shadows. But as I actually wore it and applied it and kind of felt the texture, it actually reminded me of another single shadow. So first of all, this is from J.Cat Beauty. It is their Fairydust Duochrome. I have one shade. I have Goblin Supercharged. I actually ended up ordering 2 more shades because I liked the formulas so much, so I'll swatch those for you once they get here in the mail. But this texture reminds me so much of the Too Faced Disco Crush eyeshadows. So when these first came out, there was a lot of discussion surrounding it because these are expensive. They're $30 each, which is a lot for a single shadow, especially a Too Faced shadow. Because when it comes to Too Faced, I mean, they're not a luxury brand. They sell eyeshadow palettes that are maybe only like $20 more for a full palette compared to $30 for a single shadow. And these are really, really pretty on the eyes, but you do tend to get a lot of fallout. So I will say with the J.Cat formula, there's a little bit of fallout, but it's not quite as bad as Too Faced. The Too Faced formula is maybe a little bit softer. So I think that's why it does tend to fall on the face a little bit more. And because it is so soft, it ends up cracking. And that did end up happening to one of my shadows. I remember reading reviews online where people were like, oh, mine came shattered or mine broke super easily. And at the time, I don't think that had happened to any of mine. But because it is such a soft formula, it does seem to kind of crack and crumble very, very easily. It is a really beautiful shadow. So on the eyes, you get like a very intense kind of sparkly metallic look. But I just think it's very overpriced for what it is. So if you're looking for something that gives you kind of like that chunkier, glittery look, and a lot of these Too Faced shadows are duochromes, I highly recommend checking out the J.Cat Beauty line. The Too Faced line comes with 6 shades, and then the J.Cat Beauty line comes with 8 shades. I don't have an identical shade match. Maybe once the other ones come in the mail, one of those will come a little bit closer. I'll still swatch these next to each other so you can see what they look like and just what the textures are like and kind of the effect they give to the eyes. But these are $5.99 each. They are significantly less expensive. You can actually get 5 shades for the price of one Too Faced shadow, or just save your money and spend $6 rather than $30. I also think the J.Cat formula lasts longer on the eyes, and like I said earlier, there's less fallout. And then on top of that, I do think the base overall has a little bit more pigment, so it just seems to show up a little bit more intensely on the eyes. So highly recommend these if you kind of thought about buying of the Too Faced shadows, but you were like $30 is just way too much. Let's finish up with 2 different lip products. So one of my favorite lip gloss lines of all time would be the Fenty Gloss Bomb line. And at this point, they have a couple of different options. They have the Gloss Bomb Heats, the Gloss Bomb Creams, the original ones. My favorite would probably be the Gloss Bomb Heats, just because they kind of have like that really beautiful sheer factor to them. So you get a little bit of color, but they look incredibly glossy, so beautiful on the lips. Today I'm wearing the shade Hot Chocolate Heat, and I do have, what do I have underneath? I think I have a little bit of lipstick and a little bit of lip liner. I'll put the exact products I'm wearing in the description box below. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll swatch all of these products on the lips so you can see what they actually look like side by side. So the first time I tried this product from Revolution Beauty, I was like, that reminds me a lot of the Gloss Bomb Heat, and not really even because of the name or the packaging, which I do kind of wonder if it's meant to be a dupe, but I had originally tried this color and I was like, that reminds me of my favorite lip gloss formula formula and favorite lip gloss color. This is the Pout Balm Plumping Lip Gloss in the shade Espresso Cool Nude. These really come so close. So as far as differences, the Fenty line retails for $26 and the Revolution Beauty line retails for $8. Fenty comes with 6 different shades and Revolution Beauty has 7 different shades, but I'll specifically compare these 2 colors for you. I don't know exactly how much product you get in the Revolution Beauty lip gloss. I looked everywhere and I really couldn't find it online or on the actual packaging, but the Fenty glosses do come with a good amount. You get 0.3 fluid ounces. These colors look so similar on the lips. Again, I'll do side-by-side comparisons for you. Neither one of the formulas has actual shimmer in them, although I think some of the other shades that Revolution Beauty offers might have some shimmer or glitter mixed in, but as far as these two, they are just like that full-on creamy kind of sheer beautiful finish. The Fenty formula does kind of have that warm, plumping feel, and the Revolution Beauty does give your lips a little bit of a tingle, but I would say it's almost slightly more of like a cooler tingle rather than the kind of warm, burning sensation that Fenty gives. It's not completely unpleasant. Like, I don't think it's so uncomfortable that I have to take the product off, but I do think in the end, the Fenty formula makes your lips look a little bit bigger. I should say compared to what your lips look like without the gloss on top, and I do think it's the same case for the Revolution Beauty formula. I think the Revolution Beauty gloss maybe has slightly more pigment. It's still a very sheer formula in the end, but if you were to layer this up, it would appear a little bit more vibrant on the lips than Fenty, which I think is kind of nice because it's slightly more customizable. The formula feels very similar on the lips. Like, the texture is the same, and that's probably what matters the most when it comes to lip gloss, other than, you know, the finish or the color, because a lot of lip oil lip gloss hybrids these days feel very slippery, almost kind of slick on the lips, and they're so thin that they wear off incredibly fast, whereas both of these formulas stay on the lips pretty well, and they just give you that super shiny, really smooth effect. So definitely a great alternative that's less expensive. Again, if you don't have the budget for Fenty, or there is like a specific shade that you've been wanting to try, and you just would go for a more affordable alternative, maybe check out the Revolution Beauty line. Okay, I know this was a little bit of a longer video. Hopefully I can cut it down in editing. I know sometimes I feel myself like rambling on and on because, to be honest, I don't take the responsibility of reviewing beauty products lightly. If you're going to buy something based on my recommendation, I just want to make sure you have all of the details, all of the pros and all of the cons, because the fact that you would spend your money on something I recommend is a really big deal to me. So I'm trying to figure out a way to be a little bit more concise with my thoughts while still hitting all of the important details. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my videos. Thank you so much for your support in 2025 so far. I have had so much fun filming videos and just kind of getting back to it regularly. Let me know if there's anything you want to see on my channel so I can add it to my list. And if you like these types of videos, I'll link the other one I just did in November on the screen. I will see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye.